So the sixth stage of the Tour de France from Dunkirk to Charleroi, 202 kilometers ahead of the riders. So the Tour entering Belgium today. They stay with it as they go to Liège tomorrow. Eddy leading, Konishev with the polka dot, Jalabert in green. Well, no serious climb, so we were heading for the inevitable breakaways. It happens courtesy of Herman Frisson of the Lotto team, the Belgian, and Francois Simon of France for Castorama. Well, at one point they actually managed to build up a gap of 4 minutes plus, nearly 4.5 minutes at one stage. And as a result, the Gewitz team were working very, very hard at the head of the peloton, trying to wind them all in. Well, of course, that's exactly what they did, but the speed and the manner with which they caught the two escapees was impressive. Within 20 kilometers, they'd shortened that gap to 1 minute and 30. As a result, it was all down to the sprint at the end, once again.
Looking at this little group here with the lead of Frisson and Simon down to about 1 minute. Interesting also, TVM are beginning to move their riders onto the front. I was having a chat this morning, Stephen. Hello, I'm going to look back. Has he got a problem? Oh, it's one of those sleeping policemen again, wasn't it? Was he bounced the bike?
No, it's something on the ground. It's something on the ground. He jumped his bike. It's a natural reflex, but we couldn't really see from our screen. And once again, we've been very unlucky this year with our television monitors, David, because we can find it very, very difficult to see with this. One day the sun shining in, one day is the lack of sunshine. Our screens are very, very dull. It's very difficult to see what's going on, even though no matter how much we try to protect our screen here.
Well, as we're watching that bit of action replay, I was mentioning about this young TVM rider, Jerome Leilemans. I was having a chat this morning to Jesper Skibby about him, and I said, how do you pronounce his name in Dutch? He said, I'm Danish, you fool, which I knew as well, but I thought the same team fancy make sure I got it right, and it seems I'm about there anyway with my pronunciation yesterday. I said, what do you think of him? Yes, because you've been around a long time now. He said, David, he's in the top 3 sprinters of the world at the moment, and he reckons in 2 years' time, that lad, if he keeps on going like he will be the top sprinter, which, he's the same teammate, but certainly the way the lad started this season with a stage in the 4 days of Dunkirk, stays in the route to Charleroi. He's been actually in there all the time this season. He's going so well early on that I'd noted his name and realised that this lad had a lot of talent. But of course, there again, you've got to learn, and I think he learned well yesterday. He was saying on our piece on Eurosport that he decided to follow Abdou Japrov once his teammates had done a good job, and then of course when Abdou failed, bang, past he came. So the lads are learning very quickly indeed.
He is learning very quickly, but him being very young and of course willing to learn as well, and of course he's got a lot of men around, a lot of good men around him here in the Tour de France for him to learn the best. So I think he's not far away from the top as it is, but he's going to be, if he keeps going the way he's going, he'll be a force to be reckoned with, as Cipollini is today in the next year or two, especially in the stage race, because classics is one thing. You get riders who are capable of winning classics who couldn't win stages and tours, and vice versa. But he seems to be a very, very good tour rider. Most races he's won this year are being placed in. They've all been tours, so seems to have a very good rate of recovery, and he seems to be able to get really the end of race is very good to place himself properly to get placed.
Well, I'm sure that coming from Holland that he might well have had a good look at the stage finish here today, and we'll see if he can sort himself out on this one as well. So the group here at the moment still trying to sort itself out on the run in towards Charleroi, where a big crowd is enjoying the sunshine, and of course, as ever in Belgium, the frites are doing a great business, frites and mayonnaise, and the beer is flowing, and there's a good carnival atmosphere coming up, and so everybody will be hoping, I think, for a Belgian victory, but they're not going to get one from Nelissen, the Belgian champion, who retired yesterday. He'd had a bad crash the day before, when they all got upended on that to run in towards the half, so he has retired, which is a great disappointment as far as the Belgians are concerned. They were looking for a victory today, but they have got Herman Frisson out in the front for the Lotto team, trying to stay away from this big pack. I was also thinking on the way in, Stephen, how one time Belgium dominated the cycle racing when the days of Eddy Merckx and so on. There was a massive number of Belgians. They go back in history too. Belgium has great years when just every race was won by the Belgians. Then when the TI Rally team came along, we had the Danes, the Dutch doing quite well in various races and becoming quite the dominant nation. And now we've got the Italians. It seems to go in strings and roundabouts. And the poor Belgians are really looking for a new champion, aren't they? Both as a sprinter or tour rider or as a mountain climber. You remember a bit like Van Impe, they had the whole lot at one time, didn't they? Tour winners, they had mountain climbers, they'd sprinted everything. So perhaps their time might come.
Well, it does, I think. Like, you look at even our own island. Look at Ireland, for example. They had Elliott and one or two other good riders years ago. Everyone said never again. Then myself and then there was Sean Kelly came along, and McQuaid and McCormack came along. Then I came along, and then now Ireland's got a lot of very good young riders now, but no professionals as such apart from Martin Early riding in England in mountain biking. But I think the problem is that people just must keep plugging and believe that, well, if my predecessor did it, well, I can do it, or we have someone to do it someday. So I think they must just keep sticking in there and realise that, well, it does go in tours, that it's you today, it's me tomorrow, and Belgium has gone that way in the past as well. So in France as well, like in France last year there was nobody in France in the forget where the first French rider was in the GC in the Tour de France. This year, after the prologue, they were first, second and third, and Charleroi won a stage to the yellow jersey. They're having a reasonably good season, and 3 or 4 years ago the Italians were nowhere and now they're dominating. So it's something, the wheel just goes around and around and around. I think, and the Belgians have to just patient. They thought that Van den Broek was going to be very good, but unfortunately he hasn't come up with the goods. So I think it's only a matter of time, be patient and keep working. There's an awful lot of good experienced people in Belgium to help the young riders along and for young riders to look to. So I think that, like in any country that has had top riders, it's only a matter of time before the valve comes around again to your turn, and you will produce the good riders.
Well, we're looking at a very seasoned campaigner down there, Herman Frison, at 34 years of age, who's with young Francois Simon, the young Frenchman, and these two, the gap is getting close to inside 1 minute. They're still ploughing away, hoping to get the next of the sprint bonuses. And looking at the nations taking part in the Tour de France this year, Belgium have 16 riders in the Tour de France. They're the big pack, has now got them in sight on this stage through Belgium. Just 16 riders from Belgium in the field of 198 that started. Spain have got 18 riders in the field. The French riders, 34 of them in the field. They've already had the yellow jersey on the shoulders of Durand and on the shoulders of Jalabert. Well, the French team with 34 riders, but there again they're bemoaning the fact that they've got just 34, when at one time they used to get over 50% of the riders in the Tour de France were from France, but now they're down to 34 of them. The nation with the biggest numbers of riders, because their teams have been the strongest so far this year, the Italians then with some 61 riders. The Dutch have got 10 riders in. No other nation has more than double figures, so that's Belgium 16, Spain 18, France 34, Italy 61, and the Netherlands 10. And Steve just tapped my shoulder and pointed out to a man in dark glasses here, and I don't think he's celebrating his birthday again, but he's hoping nobody will recognise him. But who could fail to recognise the great Eddy Merckx? He had his 50th birthday a couple of weeks ago, and of course the whole of Belgium will be rooting for him here at the finish, and happy to see him turn up in the sunshine, and we're hoping for a Belgian win. And Eddy, of course, now very much involved in the bicycle business. He's one of the few successful racing cyclists that's managed to put his name onto a bicycle and make a bit of money at it. Most of them go into it and lose money, either opening bike shops. Well, in fact, bike shops usually can manage to survive, but those who are going to making bikes don't realise that making bikes is one thing, getting the money in from the big people who sell it to is another. That's happened more often than not, and some bicycle manufacturers who thought their name will carry them into the marketplace have had great difficulty in surviving after the first few years. But Eddy's done just that. His bikes are well sought after. Many of the teams riding in the race here are on Eddy Merckx bikes, or in fact like the Motorola team on Caloi bikes, and Eddy imports the Caloi bikes into Belgium, and Eddy has a relationship and an arrangement on manufacturing with the Caloi people, who are the oldest bicycle manufacturer in Brazil. So that's why the Americans, or the American-sponsored team Motorola on Caloi bikes, because of Brazilian interest in America, and Eddy, using his good business brain, has got involved with them as well. So the Motorola on Eddy Merckx type bikes, the Caloi brand on them, and also the riders from Telecom looking down there, they're also on Eddy Merckx bicycles. They're rather a marvellous sort of pinky purple colour and white splashes on it. And looking at Udo Boltz in that German championship jersey in the midst of this pack. The other national championship we've got riding here, or national champion, is Bjorn Ries in a red jersey with a white cross on it. And of course the great Gianni Bugno in the red, white and green. So it's good to see Eddy Merckx here again, and much revered by the Belgian spectators. And out there on the route, one Belgian and one French rider, and they really much are in sight now, so it can't be long, surely, Steve, before they get themselves absorbed.
No, the speed that bunch now is creating down the back of their necks. They know it as well. They see Francois Simon sitting up there and holding top of the bar, so I say it'll be only a matter of 4 or 5 kilometres now before they're actually caught, but they're going. Well, we see them here, they're a little bit, you see the local team coming up, they stand alongside the two boys now, and saying to the boy as well, if I was you, I would save a little bit, because they're coming up very, very quickly with only some 30-odd kilometres to go now. So it's nearly all over for the boys, but they've had a good go. It was very, very difficult anyway to stay away, having only at one stage 5.5 minutes when you have a group like that behind you, with having so many sprinters left in the group. You've still got Cipollin, you've got Abu Japarov, you've got Jalabert, plus what's the guy's name again? That's one yesterday. You can say better than I can.
Oh, your own Gleilovens.
That's what it was. That's what I meant. Yeah, like there's so many good sprinters still in there, and with this being the last stage, last flat stage of the race for another week, it's the last chance for the sprinters to get a look in. So they're all going to be riding for the sprinters today, hoping to get them in, hoping to get a win, of course. You see here the Ultra team coming to the front, Dave, now.
Yep, well, Jalabert is still interested both in improving his overall position on the general classification and looking for a stage victory as well. The riders tomorrow, we were having a little chat then about how difficult it's going to be, and I'm having a look down here tomorrow on the stage, which we're covering on Eurosport for it, from Charleroi to Liège. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fourth category climbs, and 1, 2, 3, 4 third categoy climbs. So we've got 7 climbs tomorrow, and they really go up and down, up and down, up and down, and many of these ones featuring, as we say, in the old Liège-Bastogne-Liège as well. So it's going to be a right tough day tomorrow for the sprinters, and the little mountain goats will be licking their lips and looking for a chance perhaps of getting a stage victory into Liège, where we had a comeuppance this year in the Liège-Bastogne-Liège when Giannetti won that one, and of course last year when Berzin took Liège-Bastogne-Liège, he riding for the Gewis team. We see the Gewis riders on the front now. I'm sure that he'll be looking forward to the Liège-Bastogne-Liège type route for tomorrow's stage, because Berzin perhaps would like to try and give Indurain a bit of a run for his money before we get to the time trial. And so we could have a very, very interesting day's racing tomorrow, because that up and down may not totally suit someone like Indurain, and like Berzin may be in his interest to try and get away a little more time out of Indurain before the team time trial. So it's going to be a good tracking day tomorrow.
Well, Berzin, with Berzin's tactics and the way he's been riding so far, if you remember yesterday towards the finish he got away in a group, he's riding with his 2 eyes open, and he knows himself that well. At the time trial on Sunday, nobody knows as yet who's going to be ahead of anybody, so everybody's very worried about it at the moment. But I think that Indurain will be watching particularly carefully Berzin tomorrow. Berzin was saying the other day that all he wants to do is get to the time trial. He said, I feel great, I feel I'm going very, very strong, I'm feeling I have the same form as I had in the Truvik League. I feel I can beat Indurain on Sunday, but I don't know if I can beat him. So he's very, very anxious to get to Sunday morning, and even more anxious to get to Sunday night, hoping that he will have beaten or been very, very close to Indurain.
Well, looks like it's all over, bar the shouting, all the cheering of the men at the back. So thank goodness we've now caught them. We can settle down to the business of getting this stage victory. Because up there in the red and black colours, Herman Frison towing along is Jerome Simon, this young rider who's had a couple of bad days with his stomach, but he's had a spirited attempt today to stay away. They went away around about 80 kilometres. They quickly got a lead of 2 minutes and 10 seconds, Frison and Simon. Now we're coming in towards those, I suppose about 30 kilometres to go now from the finish. So they've had a fair old time out there. Their lead went up to 4 minutes and 26 seconds, but on these long, fast straights in towards the finish at Charleroi, the bunch behind have been able to motor along. Remember, we've been averaging so far at over 27 miles an hour, so you can just see what sort of speed the peloton have been moving at to pull these two riders. So at a speed of probably now around about 30 miles an hour, the breakaway group of Frison and Simon is going to be absorbed by that fast-moving pack of riders that we've got. So 147 of them left in the race this morning. Pascal Herbe did not start, and now it's all over and done with. The break has gone, and the sprinters will be very happy. They can settle down now and wait for that lunge for the line. We've got here in Charleroi a big crowd waiting for the race to arrive, but there's still some more sprinting yet to come. We've got to go through that little sprint at Bincher with 27.5 kilometres to go, and that is a tricky one indeed. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and hope that nobody ends up on the pavement, which has been the problems we've had with twists and turns with sprints in the past.
I'd say that the Onsen now are still keeping the pressure on, but it wouldn't surprise me now if you see somebody else attacking now. That's the problem with catching the riders too far out from the finish. It gives everyone ideas then about attacking. So I wasn't surprised now very shortly, as it is very twisty and turny, up and down and very exposed. I wouldn't be surprised at all now if you see it might just lie low for a couple of seconds just to kind of let everyone get back into it again, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see an attack from somebody shortly. Here we are.
And there we go, and yes, you're perfectly right about that. Is it Fondres? Because he wouldn't go now, surely.
It's like Fondres style, all right.
And well, the sprint at Binch, and this is the twists and turns, and they've got cobbles. It's typical Belgian territory here, and they go around these twists and turns in the cobbles. So apart from going out there to get some advantage in the sprint, then certainly in this particular part of the course, anybody who's prepared to have a go can open up a useful little gap in Bincher then, as well they go through this part of the course. The 27.5 kilometres will remain between now and the finish, and the field recognise it's a bit of a tough one this, and it's shortly afterwards, by the way, just 4 kilometres down the road we have the 4th category climb as well. And I think this, we're peering at our monitor screen here, we could do with a black curtain behind us. I've got my dark jacket on here at the moment, or dark short sleeve shirt, but it's not easy, and it is Fondres, that's gone away surely.
No,
it isn't. No,
it could be Bailey.
But it's Belly himself, another good climb. He's got the same sort of nice stylish look. I look at the right to ride on the top, so you've got a nice little. It's Gonchenko. We got it wrong, but
it's Conti.
No. 75 it is. Quick look on your programme there, and 75 it is Gonchenko.
Chekhov, yeah.
Well, he's a very good sprinter, so I don't think he's going to stay out there on this particular one. Sorry if I confused him there.
It's a very good finish for Fondres. A strong man uphill finish. Very good finish for Fondres if he's going for on form now. Remember, 2 years ago, Fondres had fantastic form, and he won every race coming towards the end of the season. Since then, he hasn't shown the same form, but he's had an operation on a hernia in his lower back, so he is coming on form, and I think we'll see more of him before the end of the Tour de France.
Well, certainly in the Tour of Italy this year, he looked good at the early part of the race before he retired from it. And of course, he got that second place in Milan-San Remo when Jalabert picked him at the post, so he's on his way back, is Fondres, but he's a teammate that's gone away off the front at the moment, and this looks like the Lamprey team are beginning to yeah, there's just one of Lamprey riders coming up there at the moment. It's the Onse team are beginning to mass at the front again. They've managed to get safely.
It's only a false flat here, but you can see the damage it's doing, the speed that's there at the moment.
And of course those cobbles will rattle the bodies of these bike riders. We're going to have quite a few more cobbles before we get out of Belgium and back down. And really they leave Belgium by flying all the way down towards the Alps on the rest day. And these riders, I'm sure, will be very happy to put their feet up, although much of it will be spent getting themselves ready for the battle in the Alps. This long string of motorcycles behind, the camera can't come through at the moment until they have an opportunity of filming maybe a break. So they're sitting back there waiting for the action to happen. 27 kilometres or so from the finish, and the field's still all strung out, and the little gaps begin to open up behind, but I think they could be closed down now. Just some 4 kilometres or so to go to the climb of the Côte Andalouse, and the fields seem to be all back together again. So Gonchenko taking the sprint at Binche with 27.5 kilometres to go. Gonchenko persisting with his attempt on the front to stay away. We've seen this rolling road up just up in front. No, he's not going to, because I drove this part of the course, and whilst they're jumping all over the place like this, Stephen, it goes up and down like a roller coaster, and you can see maybe about 3-4 minutes down the road.
You can. The road is very, very wide as well, so it doesn't help any breakaway at all.
Nothing much surely will happen until we get to Charleroi, I thought, as we begin to duck into the town.
Depends on who goes away. If you get 2 or 3 really good guys going away, well, then it could do a lot. But this moment that is maybe a little bit too far for a group to stay away, because behind the momentum, the riders are going very, very fast, and there's too many of the sprinters teams already in the front, ready to control. I was there, a Colombian rider here from Kelme. I don't know who it is as yet, but
it looks a bit like Cabello to me. He's always prepared to have a go toward the back end of the race, and they really have come into this one to have a go at the King of the Mountains. But that takes Angelado. Well, that's a crazy thing to do, because this is quite a useful little sprinter, and I'd have thought he would have saved himself towards the end, because he hasn't had quite such a good year this year. But last year he was popping up all over the place, getting sprints. And you can see by the size of his thighs and his compact build, he is a sprinter. But I never get the impression that Kelme have any team tactics. They seem to let anybody go on the day.
Well, that's basically what it is. But they only have Cubino, who really they've one or two riders in the team, but there's no real team leader as such, apart from the likes of Cubino, who has proved himself to be good in the Tour de France. So that you can't really give team tactics apart from try and stay upright and make sure you're not get any time gaps in the finish, and save all you can for the mountains and try and be good in the mountains.
Well, Cubino took a stage in the Tour of Italy this year. Kelme were one of the teams that weren't quite certain would get into the Tour de France, and so they had to do something, and Cubino got a stage in the Tour of Italy this year, which confirmed that they were going to get in. Another of their team, the Buena Hora, the Colombian, is also quite
useful. Gone across.
Yep, with 25 kilometres to
incredible,
go.
Capucci. It's crazy, isn't it? It's like the world upside down now.
So what's different?
Every day Capucci's had a go off the front, so he has in the final. Today a little bit further out, but I don't know what actually he has in his mind, because he has other teammates in his team that could be attacking and preparing the terrain for himself, but he should be keeping all his energy for the mountains. But at the same time, I said the other day, Capucci, I feel, hasn't got a confidence in himself, and the only way he can get a confidence is by going off the front now and again and just proving to himself he has the legs to go, because otherwise I can't see any reason whatsoever for him going off the front like that. With there's no chance of him going to the finish, so it's like suicide and using energy for nothing.
But that's Capucci, isn't it? You know.
Well, he never did anything else any different. Like, he always uses a lot of energy, but he did it in the mountains where it counted, and he got compensation for it. But the effort he's using, the energy he's using of today here, he would not be compensated for it. Well, I don't think so.
He's still away at the front. Here we are.
With Capucci, you can't really say. We were saying here not be compensated for it, but this could be the one time this group could go to the finish.
You never know with this fella, do you? He's very erratic. He has bad days and good days. When he has a good day, just like nobody can stop him there. 51st, 3 minutes and 8 seconds down on general classification. He is ploughing away here in the hot sun, beating down on his back. And the Carrera team, again, a team of very mixed abilities too. But Pantani, we've seen nothing of so far. We're going to look forward to seeing him in the big mountains. And they don't really have a star sprinter in the team this year at the moment in the Tour de France. The other man who normally careers off the front, excuse the expression for Carrera, is Melo Chiesa. We haven't seen much of him careering off the front this year. In their team also, Pantani, Barbera, Bertolini, Capucci, Chiesa, Siboni, Sierra, Zaina, and Sberg. Zaina's having quite a useful season as well so far, but this is the enigma of the lot, and he's got himself in those central, unusual half triathlon type bar positions. And looking back down the road there, what a sight. Why persist with that lot going out to it?
It's you can see the peloton here. Maybe Capucci feels safer in the front than behind. You see the crowds here coming out onto the road, only pulling back at the last minute. Makes it very dangerous for the riders as well. There are barriers in towards the finish, but out here on the road you cannot just put barriers for 200 kilometres along the road. And there are a lot of people out here on the road here today, as you can see from our helicopter shot here, with 23 kilometres to go.
23 kilometres into Charleroi, and in the last time we came in 1977, when Patrick Sturcu got the stage victory into here. It's a town that's been used in the Tour de France 4 times in the past. In 1957 Bovin got the stage, 1961 Dames got the stage. The tour started in 1975 when Moser actually came and won the stage, did a circuit here, and 1977 Sturcu got it. And I seem to remember, I think that was the one when I was with TI Valley, it went through the centre of Brussels and came back again. They jumped all over the place now, and this is a very interesting stage towards the end, and that's the top of the King of the Mountains classification, and I'm just waiting to see what the confirmation was. That rider zipping away off the front, and they're all jumping around. The King of the Mountains jersey on the shoulder of Koningshev. So we go through here. There was Koningshev, yes, because of course he had to be very careful that Ferrand didn't take it off him, and so Koningshev zooming up there.
Laurent Brochard going past there.
Yeah, but it was him who got those points in the King of the Mountains, because I think he was wanting to make sure that Veron...
Pontis Moreau, it's a very good group now.
Didn't get any points in the front.
Jean-Paul Bernard.
And I think Judo Bolts have gone across.
Judo Bolts, and...
but they're not too bothered now. They're easing back. Easing back.
As Bolts is showing us very unusual descending position. Fondriest.
Oh, they're all going now, aren't they? Somewhat.
You see behind here, they're riding hard after Capucci.
So Capucci and Ado still in the lead. Konishev looked like he got the third spot over there in that King of the Mountains competition. He had to go some because he had to keep Veronk out of his way. Veronk, the Festina rider, was challenging then to try and get the third spot. He didn't get it. Konishev will keep that polka dot jersey on his shoulders. I thought when I looked at that climb as he drove along, actually, it would suit Konishev, that sort of climb. He's a good sprinter, and Veronk really isn't quite the same class when it comes to that sort of steady drag up towards a fourth category climb.
Well, tomorrow is more of a day for Veronk, but look here what you were saying earlier on, David, that the long straights, rolly roads, you can see for 2 or 3 kilometers at a time.
And there's no way then that anybody can really get out of sight, out of mind on this one. They've got to drive on, and that's what so many riders are trying to do at the moment, hoping the elastic will break and everybody at back will sit up and say, well, it's your turn, Charlie, I've been in the barrel for the last 10 minutes or so, and stay away. But it doesn't look like it's going to become that easy as such. So Fondriest on the front at the moment, though, going along with Jean-Francois Bernard, who looks very, very fit. When I saw him the other day, I thought he looks like he's jumping to form at just the right time.
He does, he looks very, very fit, but unfortunately this year he hasn't given at all. He hasn't been able to get it, pull it out of the bag at all. He started the season very, very late compared to the other riders, but at the same time, you know, he has the class and the ability, and of course next year he doesn't know next year whether he wants to continue cycling or whether he wants to stop. So if he wants to find a new team, he'll have to get some kind of results here in the Tour.
And the massive crowd alongside the road watching Brazi come up to that little breakaway group at the moment, and we've got a great ceremony going on here. Obviously one of the major ministers of Belgium just turned up with Eddy Merckx, and also having his photograph taken, and the cameras here whirring away for television. Eddy Merckx, in fact, in 1977, when I said to you, look here, Fondriest, Jean-Francois Bernard and Brazi bashing away at the front, Eddy Merckx in that tour that year, which was run by Bernard Thévenet, he was in fact really struggling on the team time trial, say, into Dijon, and he lost 12 minutes and 38 seconds and finished in 6th spot. So it just shows you even the big men, the top men, can have bad days as such. And it's a tour, this, I'm sure, 1977, that Eddy Merckx would very happy to forget. One which Patrick Serco, say, won the stage here into Charleroi. There, the confirmation of that 4th category climb. Capucci, Ado and Konishev. Konishev will keep the polka dot jersey, just pinched 1 extra point at the only climb we've had today, the only 4th category climb. This is some humdinger of a race now, Stephen, isn't it, eh?
It is. It's going at, I see the GAN team having a go here again. François Le Marchand, is it? Yeah, François Le Marchand. Yeah, he always a great tour rider. Doesn't show very much in many of the races, but because he's a very, very good workhorse. He rides for the team all the time, but because there's no real team designated team leader at the moment, because of the abandoning of Chris Boardman and the abandoning of Eddy Senior, everyone has a free hand now, and of course the tactics there once again is to go and just try and get a bit of a break, make a break for the team.
Well, the GAN team with Francis Moreau, great pursuiter. Talking about pursuiters, that man Didi Tureau was the one who in 1977 in the Tour de France took the yellow jersey for them 2 weeks, the young rider, the great pursuiter Didi Tureau from the TI Rally team. This train going flat out with Jean-Francois Bernard on the front for Chazelle. Alongside, or just behind him, is Fondriest, but they've got really no breathing space at the moment because the big bunch can see them on these long straight roads in towards the finish at Charleroi. But they're prepared to have a go. The gap is some 10 seconds. Brazi is with them as well for the Polti team. Again, Polti, since Bugno left them, and they also lost Abdou Japarov, seem to be a team that's prepared to have a go, one after the other. They're not a big budget team either, are they?
No, they're not a big budget team, but they're a team where, like, some teams, when you have a leader, it complicates things for a team. It puts more artificial pressure on the riders themselves and just don't cope with it. Whereas now the Polti team haven't got any great leaders. They have Uchikov, and they have 1 or 2 other Fidanza as well, and Mario Sierra, who are good riders, but no means super riders. So the pressure's off. The atmosphere is better in the team, and maybe that's what maybe that's the cocktail that podium needed to help the team get results and give the riders, of course, motivation to go individually and try and get results.
And to everybody looking for a chance to get themselves a bit of publicity. This is so intense, the competition in the Tour de France now. It has changed tremendously over the years. The pressure that's on for the riders to perform for their sponsors. Everybody now riding a lot harder than we used to see in the old days, and it really has become a tremendously scientific and closely fought sport as well. And we start this morning in Dunkirk, the stage today covering 202 kilometres to Charleroi. And there in the centre of Dunkirk this morning, as we're now looking at the breakaway group of Fondres, Brasi and Jean-François Bernard. The riders were there prepared to fight for their place, and there was a lovely statue of Jean Bart, who's a well-known corsair. Well, I don't quite know what the translation of corsair to English is like. With 16 kilometres to go, it's like a gentleman pirate. He wasn't actually a pirate as such, but he was there with this enormous great statue as we were standing in the village this morning talking to the riders before he set off. And he was a man, in fact, that was met up with Louis XIV, because at one time he went out to Texley, and in fact brought back 120 boats laden with corn and helped in the bad famine. He was a man who went to sea at 12 years of age and became a commander in 1674. And if you ever go to Dunkirk, look at that great statue there of one of the great French sailors of the past. 14 seconds then back here after we had that start this morning in Dunkirk. We've been pretty flat all the way through, and those who know this part of the world, there's nothing really to break up the rhythm. Just that 1/4 category climb we've had so far, and it's the last day really for the sprinters before we head off tomorrow into the stage which will take the riders over much of the old Liège, Baston Liège course. So the fight is on, the battle is on. The pirates are out there with the swords between their teeth, hoping to get some of the booty today, but goodness knows who's going to get to stage victory on the line today. And Fondres is trying like crazy to stay away. Jean-François Bernard with him. They're travelling now at something like about 40 miles an hour. Brasi, they're all taking their turns to stay away from this group. Before they can really say they've made it, though, they've got to get into the outskirts of Charleroi, where they'll twist and turn through the town. Fortunately, there's no really any great major problems as they come in, but they just hope that once they can turn out of sight, they may be able to break the elastic and stay away from that fast-moving pack now, who are beginning to jump around. Our three leading riders have a lead of about 15 seconds on this pack. Stage from Dunkirk to Charleroi, stage 6 of the Tour de France, covering 202 kilometres, 125 miles. We're seeing some tremendous high-speed racing. The leading riders have now getting on towards about 20-odd seconds at lead, as many other riders try to jump across the gap at the moment. Just seeing now here Radelli of the Brescia team trying to close that gap down. They're coming thick and fast across, but you can see how his legs are flying around at the moment as on the biggest sprocket on the outside, the smallest sprocket on the inside, and these are our three leaders. On the front, Jean-François Bernard. Everybody thought this man was going to be the next Hino as far as France was concerned, but he seemed to fade away, but now he's coming back fast and trying to win the stage here. There goes Brazzi of the team from Polti, and the other man which we only quickly saw on our screen was the Fondres rider from the Lampre team, Fondres as well. But look at the speed of this field. It just, I don't know how on earth they can manage to stay away at this sort of speed. It's a real, I use the word cliffhanger in the past, but that's the way it is at the moment, isn't it, Stephen?
Well, the real reason is because Jean-François Bernard was one of the best riders, as time riders of his generation. Now he's gone over the hill, but he can still ride very fast. Fondres also is also a very, very good rider. So and also Rossano, the Polti rider, Rossano, yeah, Brasi. He's they're all very, very good riders. But the problem is keeping at this speed though for so long is virtually impossible, because they can keep it going for a short period, but the bunch behind are going to be getting faster and faster and faster as they get closer to the finish. The sprinters teams at the moment are only giving a hand to each other, but when they really decide they're going to get them back, then they'll really put it all together and chase them down. So it's still possible for them to stay away, but at the same time, when the bunch gets moving, you see the bunch here as it's going, just eating into them. They are. It cannot be very long before they catch them. And these roads are very big and up and down rolly roads, so it's very difficult for any group to stay away.
And amazing enough, I saw one of the Polti jerseys on the front there.
Right, yeah.
I can't understand that, because one of the Polti man's gone out front. Perhaps I was thinking, look, we must set this up for Lombard. The Brasi hasn't got a chance.
Yeah, but in this situation, like Brasi is riding in the front. Normally Brasi shouldn't be riding. So maybe they have the wires crossed, maybe.
There is, on the front is Fondres, the world champion in 1988, when Mauricio Fondres got that championship of the world. People said it's a fluke because Croquillon and Bauer had crashed and down they went with a big bang. But that was the year he also was second in the Milan-San Remo, as he was this year. A very smooth, confident and nice pedalling rider as well. Winner, of course, in the past of the Kellogg's Pro Tour of Britain. And Fondres is dragging that one along with Jean-Francois Bernard, and Polti still winding the chase up here. If the teammates sees it on television when he gets back to the hotel tonight watching for the Eurosport, he's not going to be happy with that, surely.
He's definitely not going to be happy with it, especially Mario Sierra, I think, on the front. But at the same time, most of the riders in the Polti team are riding those spinachy rims at the moment. We see here Brassi's using them. We see Huchikov and Tonching are riding these spinachy rims. So there's more and more riders in this team. They started off with only Lombardi riding them, but now they all seem to be riding these rims. So and they reckon, of course, they do help them an awful lot as regards the sprint finishes and also as regards speed on the road. And of course, at the end of the day, that's what it all boils down to. If you're going to push hard on the pedals to make your bike go forward, or you push it less harder, it's better having less need for energy to pedal than having to push to make your bike go fast. So at the end of the day, at the end of 3 weeks riding your bike, the more energy you can conserve day by day. It all adds up at the end of 3 weeks and can help you finish the final week of Tour de France in good condition.
10 kilometres to go. Jean-Francois Bernard on the front. He won a stage in the Tour de France way back in 1986 when he finished 12th overall. They all thought he was going to be the new Tour de France victor when he finished third in 1987, having won 2 stages. Then he faded a bit into obscurity. 14th in 1991, 39th in 1992, 49th in 1993. Thierry Marie on his own, still wedged out there between the leading group and the patch.
Thierry was caught there.
He got caught. Oh,
Thibaut,
yeah, well, they keep firing blokes off this blue jersey down the distance, but Thierry Marie tried one of his particularly long breaks as well. Now they've got Thibaut out there, and on that chase after that breakaway threesome in front. And the sprinters at the moment, the judgment they have to stay, because the sprinters are going to sit in there now just hoping that they're going to get caught.
Well, they know their teammates. Once the team will feel it themselves when it's time to go. When they feel it's time to go, there'll be 4 or 5 of one team will come to the front. They just open up the gas and let it go. So for the moment, there's still the front group are only from 22, 23 seconds out the front. So it's not very far, considering a big group thundering down behind them. Once 4 or 5 riders from the same team get together and start riding in the front, the speed will go up very, very fast. And that 22, 23 seconds will come down like nobody's business.
Inside 10 kilometres then, that's round about the speed they're going now. Not much more than 10 minutes of racing left to see if that gap, which the last time check we had of 24 seconds, can be absorbed by this very fast-moving pack. It's not too difficult this time coming into Charleroi. We've seen some pretty hectic finishes in the past, but this one also wends its way in and out. And in fact, what they do, they'll actually go up and turn around a big an island and come back the other way. In fact, they'll run up one side and down the other and be able to see from either side how the lot are getting on. Jean-Francois Bernard just behind him. Bernard, who's won the Paris-Nice in the past. He got a second place as well back in 87. He's won no less than 3 stages of Paris-Nice, won a stage in the Tour of Italy in 87 when he finished 16th. He won 3 stages again in 88 when he didn't finish. And a stage victor in the Tour of Spain as well. It's a long time since Jean-Francois Bernard won his last stage in the Tour de France. Way back in 1987. He's certainly giving all he's got today.
He is, yeah. He's they all have a challenge. Jean-Francois Bernard also, he needs a team for next year, so he has to show himself at the moment. Probably won't show in the mountains, so he has to show today. As you can see from the helicopter here, the group is still a fair distance behind. Look at the speed of the group behind, so you can imagine how fast those boys are going in the front, trying to stay away from them. As you see, Urs Pulli here in the front, and the whole Merckx Uno. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Merckx Uno riders here coming to the front now to chase down. And they feel the danger now. You know, now it's time to put the power on to bring down the group. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 Merckx Uno riders all together here, riding to bring the gap down.
So they're doing all they can to set Chiappucci up for this victory today and possibly the green jersey could well stay on his shoulders. Abdul Jafarov, though, has been picking up points and is now technically in the lead on the green jersey competition. Abdul Jafarov riding for the Novell team in a whitish coloured jersey with the blue stripes on the thing, but the man in the green jersey, Cipollini, this morning did not contest all the 3 sprints. In fact, he only contested the first one on the way through this morning. We've had 3 sprints so far on the way through. Abdul Jafarov took the first one, he took the second one, and Gonchenkov took the third one. As now this break looks like it's over and done with. Well, certainly Brazzi did all he could to drive this one along, the young fellow from Polsi. He's been past a member of the junior team time trial squad for Italy. He's also in the amateur team time trial squad when they took the gold medal at Oslo as well. He did what he could there to tow them away, but it looks like it's all to be of no avail now as the pack then swinging round this island. I say they're actually going on one part of the course where they'll swing round over a road, come back again, and they'll have to be running parallel, and it's no over and done with then, and yet another attack coming off from
the rider.
And is this Toshnik that's having a go now? They really are full of it, aren't they? The Polsi riders.
They're really trying to set it up for Lombardy. If they can get they can panic and make the Merckx team panic and make them ride as hard as they can into the finish. It means it'll automatically give Lombardy a good lead out.
So they're jumping around, these Polsi riders, and I will thank them for waking me up at 6 o'clock in the morning the other day. Not Polsi, but they've got one of these several of these big vehicles in the publicity cavalcade, and the sound of a diesel outside your hotel bedroom banging away at 6 o'clock in the morning certainly woke me from my slumbers. Of course, that's 5 o'clock UK time. They were staying in our hotel with their publicity cavalcade, and the Polsi feel they make vacuum cleaners and electrical implements like that. The actual company that sponsors this team. And again, the attack.
Bernard is it again?
He's having another go, is he?
He really has some he's got a purpose here. I think he's maybe getting desperate because I think he feels that he's when he gets to the mountains he will not be able to show maybe, so he wants to show now and tomorrow, as today and tomorrow being the last day before hitting the real mountains and the time trial, of course, on Sunday.
And all that now with 5 kilometres to go for Jean-François Bernard. Swinging round, and the pack have now caught him, and again the blue jerseys on the front. So we've got about 5 minutes of furious racing yet ahead. They're going to finish at around about 5 o'clock. That's 5 minutes up on the time that was expected at 27.5 miles an hour. They were due to finish at 5:05 at 27.5 miles an hour, so they've been just around about 28 miles an hour since we left Dunkirk this morning. 202 kilometres of racing here, and let's see who can get the sprint today. The TVM riders, you can see them down there, the yellow jersey with the reds inside. On the right-hand side, the attack coming, Castorama yet again going for this one, and riders running out of steam and slowing it down. Motorola begin to put a man in there. Frankie Andro, their top sprinter, we're looking for a chance to have a go at this one. Yesterday, Blalevens won the stage. We've seen Cipollini win a stage. Baldato, who won a stage as well, is out having crashed and bashed his face. Lombardi in there. Let's see now then who's going for this one. And Gannett again launching a man off on the far right-hand side, and on his wheel is one of the riders from the Lotto team. It's every man for himself at the moment, and the sprinters still keeping their fingers crossed that this will be one mad gallop towards the end. What a race.
It is. Today actually should be a good day for Chmil. We're talking about him every day. He's coming more and more on form, but the finish like today, Chmil will know it because he lived not too far away from here for a couple of years. So today I wouldn't be surprised to see Chmil not too far away from in the first place.
And this is where they're going to turn, and then turn left again and go back down the other side of the road they've just come up, and they'll be able to see, looking across, the team cars streaming along on the other side of the dual carriageway. But there's no breakaways now. It's all been pulled back together again. We had Frison and Simon, who had a lead at one time of 4 minutes and 26 seconds on the main pack, but they got absorbed running in towards the end of the race, and now they're all together, and the attacks are coming thick and fast in all directions. Vanessa going on the front at the moment, trying to keep the speed up and keep Miguelin out of trouble. Stevens going through, a wonderful teammate for Jalabert.
Yeah,
brilliant, isn't he?
Jalabert on his wheel.
Yeah, brilliant teammate, Stevens.
We see all the big boys coming through here. We see Injuran here lying about third place back. We see Romingo is in there as well on the right hand side, a little further back. A little bit more the last 2 days, hasn't been as much to the front as Injuran or Brazil, but he's in there all the same.
So the clever men who are looking for overall victory in the yellow jersey competition, being like Indrain, Rominger, Berzin, etc., trying to keep out of trouble, get up toward the front of this little lot before the sprinters come swarming past them like flies and honeybees round the jam pots. And you can see them moving up here at the moment. The yellow jersey down there of the Polti rider looking after the interests of Lombardi. Looks like Museo is beginning to move.
He'll be another man for the day with us.
Yeah,
with the uphill finish today, being as well in Belgium, he'll be an automatic choice for the pronostics today.
And you can see the white jersey with the pinky crashets on the top. That's Eric Zabel being well taken through by Olaf Ludwig. So the telecom riders begin to position themselves too as well. I haven't seen much of the light colours of the Nobel team for Abdul Jafarov. Still two Polti men in there near the front. They don't worry about the Benessos on the front right now. I think they're just making sure that Indrain's kept out of trouble, winding the speed up, and they got right behind him Museo. Then, yeah, there's the green jersey, Cipollini.
He's on the front, Dave. He's wearing a crash hat today. Oh, we have to, because in Belgium you must wear crash hats, that's why, yeah.
It's law, isn't it?
Because he had a crash hat on, I didn't recognise him, but I just thought the style seems familiar, all right.
And that's it, so he's now easing himself out of trouble, just making sure that in the twists and turns he isn't going to be brought down. And out goes the hand for Chimil on the right-hand side in the black and red, as out goes the arm from Lombardi, says, hey, I want that spot. And through comes the lead-out man for Moncassin and for Abdul Jafarov. The Nobel rider on the right-hand side, but he's gone far too fast down there. Is that Moncassin starting to go away now? Far too fast. It can't be. It's Ekimov, isn't it? But he's lost his man. He's not towing either Moncassin or Abdul Jafarov with him. He looks back and he can't see anybody on his wheel.
The sense on Abdul Jafarov is on a good wheel. It's not lost, because it means that Abdul Jafarov now has one or two other guys to come off. So if he'd been on Ekimov's wheel, would have meant when Ekimov pulls over, he's the win for himself. So it's not too bad that he missed the wheel. 1 kilometre to go. Ekimov pulls off the front then, and the sprinters are left all to their own devices. Still down there in the pack, we can see the colours of Polti, and that means that Lombardi's in there. Cipollini's moving through the third spot at the moment. His team have led him out quite nicely. Bleilemans is in there too for TVM. They're swinging down round with some 500 metres to go. Out the front, the lead-out man looks back to see where Cipollini's got, but Cipollini is on the wheel. It looks like the Polti rider still Lombardi looking over his shoulder. Lombardi, then Cipollini, and Museo is hanging on there, and there goes, that looks like Koshnik. Is that Lombardi going for the far side? But I didn't recognise long flowing locks. It wasn't. It was just a spook move by one of the Polti riders. Yes, they just sort of did a spooky move there, and Zabella's gone straight to front as well for Telecom. In fact, no, it's Ludwig looking back over his shoulder. Ludwig is lead-out man for Zabel, but he can't hold his wheel. Behind him is Lombardi. No, in fact, that's Sferrada on the right-hand side. Sferrada is out there now, putting his head down and going for it, as Ludwig has blown a gasket and still it's Sferrada, I think, on the front at the moment, and Abdul Jafarov fighting for it's gone to Zabel, and I've got him in my prognostication. Zabel ahead of Jalabert in second spot, and I didn't get third. We'll have to watch the action replay there. Oh, I got him down as victor today, and it's happened. Yes, Zabel, yes, in first spot. I've written him on my pronunciation. My German commentator friend here, Peter Voigt, is overjoyed. Rudi Alsing has leapt up in the air. The Germans are throwing their thumbs up, and I'm doing likewise, because I put Zabel down as the likely winner today. God, I used to say, don't follow my tips in horse racing or cycling, you won't get anywhere. But let's look at this one again then, because whilst we got him going across the line and Jalabert coming straight to the centre, I think he took second spot as well. I'm not quite certain who got the third. Abdul Jafarov is fighting his bike, jumping all over the place here. Abdul Jafarov is doing usual left, right, and Jalabert switches over to the left-hand side, goes past Sferrada on the right-hand side. Zabel is still going full tip for the line. He takes that one just ahead of, I'm not quite sure whether Abdul Jafarov or Jalabert got it, but certainly Zabel, and then it was Jalabert second, and Abdu into third spot. Well, now then, Jalabert has now helped himself to 12, and he's now got 20 seconds back on general classification, Jalabert, after that sprint, because that's worth 12 seconds. Let's watch this one again from the top as Lombardi in yellow runs out of steam. Sferrada starts to rock on his bike. Abdul Jafarov is jumping all over the place as usual. Look at the way that Jalabert switches
finishes, finds a gap, goes round the outside of Serrada, who's dying 1,000 deaths. And
the Jalabert coming through, Dave, as well. With the Jalabert, the speed he's coming through.
Yeah, I say the speed he cut round there was absolutely amazing. And Abdu couldn't hang on to Zabel.
What a birthday present for Zabel. He's 25 today, Dave, Zabel. So 25 years of age today, Zabel.
Oh, it's his birthday.
Birthday today, yeah.
Brilliant.
That's why Rudy Altic and our co-commentators here for Germany were going wild, because I think happy birthday to you, Zabel. It's a nice present.
What's the job of a happy birthday to you? we have to find out from Peter Voigt, and we hope perhaps we can grab this lad for interview later on Eurosport with Peter Voigt there. Zabel, Jalabert and Abdul Jafarov was the result, but the main thing, of course, Jalabert has now got himself an extra 20 seconds vital bonus on general classification, so that'll put him into third spot. He will move up then. Gotti will still be first because he came in the main pack. Bjorn Ries will be in there, but now Jalabert has taken 14 extra bonus for a 20. He's now 14 seconds down on the general classification, so he can go to third spot. So Abdul Jafarov didn't get his stage victory today, but Jalabert fighting up there into third spot. But the birthday boy himself, Zabel, gets it.
And so the inevitable sprint finish taken by Erik Zabel. He was most pleased. What a birthday present it was. 25 on the day of the sixth stage. The celebrations probably still going on. And we talked to Erik.
Erik Zabel, herzlichen Glückwunsch. Jetzt ist die Frage, wozu
well, congratulations on your birthday.
Just
how important was today for you?
Ja, danke.
He says, well, birthday celebrations, of course. Can't celebrate too hard. I've got a tour to race. But nevertheless, very special today. Yesterday, he says, you had to sprint very hard. Came home in third place. What was different today? He said, tried yesterday, but today he found space, went for the gap, and of course he won it, giving himself that perfect birthday present. Erik Zabel of the Telecom team.
Letzte Kurve vom Ziel, aber am Ende war es immer noch optimal für mich.
So the green jersey hands over. Abdul Jafarov, the spotty one, goes to Dmitry Konichev. But leader overall, after the computer spotted some gaps in the finishing peloton, goes to Bjarne Ries, the Dane from the Gewis team. Ivan Gotti in the third of the groups that the computer spotted. Days gone by, it probably wouldn't have happened. Nonetheless, Ries leads by 2 seconds, gets the flowers, gets the kisses. Well, Will Ries managed to hold on. Stage 7, of course, heading for Liège as we stay in Belgium. The kisses barely dry on the man's cheeks.